Well, good evening, Cedar Falls, and welcome to our regular City Council meeting for Monday, August 16th, 2021. Before I call us to order, I'll just note the passing of Mr. Jim Skane at the age of 85 last week. He attended many City Council meetings over the years, and I just wanted you to be aware of why he was absent. So we say rest in peace, Mr. Skane. I'll now call the meeting to order with a roll call from Madam Clerk.
Miller?
Here.
DeBoer?
Here.
Cruz?
Here.
Harding?
Here.
Dara?
Here.
Sires?
Here.
Dunn?
Here.
All members are present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of August 2nd?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes and brings us to agenda revisions. Do we have any agenda revisions tonight, Madam Clerk?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. Both items 5 and 6, which were scheduled for hearings, are being removed as the establishment has accepted the acknowledgement settlement agreements, and they will be on the agenda for the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. So we will remove items 5 and 6 from our agenda tonight. If council does not mind, then I'm going to do the same I did last council meeting of moving special presentations ahead of public forum. So if there's no objections, I'll go ahead and do that. These are 3 presentations that I have with the public, so I'll go forward. And first will be with Keith Kaspari. I think I have to do the talking first, and we can have it. Okay. So, if you want to come up this way, and you can see us from the TV land there. So, August 19th, 2021 is Aviation Day. Whereas National Aviation Day was established by presidential proclamation in 1939 by Franklin Delano Roosevelt to celebrate the development of aviation, and whereas since that time, Aviation Day is promoted and celebrated, has been celebrated nationwide through air shows, and whereas the U.S. aerospace community has directly and indirectly contributed to economic prosperity and national security for the past century, and whereas the Cedar Valley is home to the Waterloo Regional Airport, a towered full-service airport that enables residents to easily access commercial air travel for work and leisure. And whereas the Waterloo Airport and Livingston Aviation provide invaluable services to the general aviation community and foster community interest groups like the Experimental Aircraft Association, Young Eagles, and Civil Air Patrol, now therefore I, Robert M. Green, Mayor of Cedar Falls, do hereby proclaim August 19th, 2021 as Aviation Day in Cedar Falls and encourage residents to develop an interest and appreciation for aviation. Signed this 14th day of July 2021. So Director Keith Kaspari is the director of the Waterloo Airport, and we're so glad to have you with us tonight to receive the proclamation. Would you like to give us a few words, a quick infomercial about the airport? You can do that at the podium.
Thank you, Mayor Green and members of the City of Cedar Falls City Council. Keith Kaspari, Airport Director, Waterloo Regional Airport. We are still easing out of the COVID pandemic nightmare that we all experienced last year. And so our numbers are ticking up in the right direction, so that's a good thing. But we've got a long way to go before we get to where we were in our pre-COVID full year of 2019. We won't even get close to where we were in 2019 with a total outbound passenger traffic total of just over 22,000. Last year, I was not even able to break 7,000. So we've certainly got some room to grow before we can approach getting beyond where we should be. On the other side, our fares are still very, very attractive. I recently came back from an air service workshop in St. Augustine, Florida via Jacksonville. Round trip ticket was $297, so the fares are still out there if you want to be patient enough to look instead of just automatically assuming, if you don't mind, I'll take this off, assuming that our neighbors to the east at Dubuque, south at Cedar Rapids, and the southwest at Des Moines are automatically going to be cheaper, albeit they have much more frequency and choice destinations of airlines. We are about 6 weeks away, and you know this, Mayor Green, that we're about 6 weeks away from completing a very, I'll say, challenging taxiway reconstruction project and general aviation apron reconstruction project, which by the time that the change order will be processed will be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $5.2 million. So it's continuing to advance the airport's infrastructure. The EA chapter that you mentioned, they just came back from a busy weekend at Independence. They're headed to Olwine this coming weekend, so that's just another good example of what general aviation impact that the EA chapter that we have at ALO does for the region, to try and impress upon the young people of our area, our region, to consider a career path in aviation, as it's a truly dynamic career to get into. But other than that, we're doing okay. We got a lot of work ahead of us, as you would know, and but would entertain any potential questions that you or your city council members or staff may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Okay.
Thank you.
Work.
And
Thank you
thank you
very
for
much.
this again.
Certainly. Our next in-person proclamation will be with Quota of the Cedar Valley with Sandra Lowy and Deanna Rustad. I just learned about Quota of the Cedar Valley this past year, and I'm excited to see their work in the community now. So the proclamation for tonight is Quota of the Cedar Valley Incorporated Day for August 29th, 2021. Whereas Quota of the Cedar Valley was founded in 1926 as Quota of Waterloo and is a nonprofit organization to promote literacy, assist individuals with hearing and speech impediments, and to provide humanitarian service to those in need. And whereas Quota of the Cedar Valley provides Quota Cares Bears to all area hospitals and other medical providers to comfort children and adults experiencing trauma. And whereas Quota of the Cedar Valley sponsors the Cops and Kids Reading Program to encourage positive relationships between police officers and youth, and to ensure children can explore their full potential through literacy and education. And since 2004, has provided nearly 73,000 books to Cedar Valley children and adults. And whereas Quota of the Cedar Valley provides extensive services and financial support to exceptional persons, the Job Foundation, Catholic Worker House, Northeast Iowa Food Bank, Boys and Girls Club, Love Inc., the YWCA, Salvation Army, and other worthy organizations, and $13,000 in annual UNI scholarships. And whereas on Sunday, August 29th, Quota of the Cedar Valley will host its 71st brunch fundraiser at the Waterloo UAW Hall at 2615 Washington Street from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. with dine-in and carry-out service. Now therefore, I, Robert M. Green, Mayor of the City of Cedar Falls, do hereby proclaim August 29th, 2021 as Quota of the Cedar Valley Incorporated Day in Cedar Falls, and encourage residents to support Quota's fundraising and community service efforts. Signed this 4th day of August 2021, Mayor Robert M. Green. So thank you so much for your service to the community, and give this to you. And I have a few moments for you to tell us a little bit more about Quota, and especially the nut fundraiser.
Thank you, Mayor Green and the City of Cedar Falls for this recognition. As it said, our new name is Quota of the Cedar Valley. Even though it's a new name, we've been around for 95 years. And we're very proud of this recognition, but it's the support of all the community of the Cedar Valley that helps us to be able to do all this. This fall we have numerous opportunities for support. As we said, August 29th is the brunch. With the ongoing pandemic, we have also added curbside pickup option from 11:30 to 12:30. This day will also kick off our brunch sale, or our nut sales, which we'll continue to do throughout the fall, ending in early December while supplies last. And on October 23rd, we're going to have our Quarter Mania. It's a quarter auction. It's just a fun time out with different vendors, and that it's also a day that we're going to honor the memory of one of our members that passed away last October, very unexpectedly. She was our longtime treasurer, and so it's just an opportunity for us to be able to honor her. Again, thank you for this honor.
Thank you, Ms. Restad. And the final proclamation tonight was a mistake on my part. I write file names for each of the proclamations each month in my web folder, and I had written this one as 9/21 when it should have been 8/21. So I missed Gastroparesis Awareness Month in our last meeting, and I want to rectify that tonight. Nikki Morrissey has attended for several years to receive the proclamation. She's currently in hospice. She from her family understands that there's just not very much that medical science can do for her at this point. So it's that much more poignant to recognize the fact of gastroparesis, its existence, and the need for a cure. So I'll read that proclamation here. And again, I already have delivered that personally to Nikki earlier this month. And it says, Gastroparesis Awareness Month, August 2021. Whereas gastroparesis is a paralysis of the stomach which causes extreme pain, nausea, vomiting, early satiety, and can lead to serious complications such as malnourishment, dehydration, extreme weight loss, overwhelming fatigue, a severe decrease in the quality of life, and in some cases even death. And whereas gastroparesis is a chronic illness affecting more than 5 million people in the United States, yet public awareness and medical understanding of this condition is severely lacking. And whereas no known cure exists for gastroparesis, and the few treatment options available can lead to even more serious complications such as sepsis. And whereas those affected by gastroparesis seek more research, additional treatment options, and effective medications, better patient support, and hope for a future free of constant suffering and pain. And whereas the people of Cedar Falls can benefit from increased awareness of the devastating effects of gastroparesis for the good of public health and to better support those inflicted with this disorder. Therefore, I, Robert M. Green, Mayor of the City of Cedar Falls, do hereby designate August 2021 as Gastroparesis Awareness Month in Cedar Falls, and I do hereby encourage residents to learn about gastroparesis and to seek out ways to support our neighbors who suffer from this debilitating illness. Signed this 30th day of July 2021, Mayor Robert M. Green. So with that, our prayers and thoughts are certainly with the Morrissey family. I had a chance to visit with them in their home several weeks ago, and while Nikki was in very good spirits, definitely was in a difficult life situation, and we seek to give her the prayers and thoughts of our whole community. So with that, that brings us over to our special order of business. We are not doing 5.
Point of order, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
yes, good.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor,
What did I miss?
We have to do the public
Public
forum.
forum, of course. So thank
Mr.
you very
Mayor.
much.
could I,
So public forum, speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics germane to city business. Does anyone from the gallery wish to speak in public comment tonight? Mr. Frine, come forward, please.
TJ Frine, 1319 Austin Way. I'm just kind of going back to the committee of the whole about the 2025 plan. One of the options, you guys settled it with your votes, was continue implementation to 2030. Just kind of looking at future forward 2025. If the plan keeps going forward, I would just say that for the sake of, I guess, technicality, changing the name so we're not talking in 2027 about a 2025 plan. Just might look bad. The plan was put forward in 2015, and there was a list of awesome volunteers. The only question I had was some of those volunteers have since moved to other communities. Unfortunately, some have passed away. So is there a way to kind of make that a working document where, you know, this volunteer group put forward a great plan that we can use to quantify things and goals. But as people move on, other opinions come in and should be like filling those roles as kind of providing updated input into these groups. Like I had mentioned, at least a couple of people on that list have moved away from Cedar Falls. They don't live in the community anymore. But in 2015, they shared a great vision. So we need to be updating that with people who are still in the community, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, it's a good way to kind of quantify and show progress towards goals and achievements. Place to play park was mentioned. I know that the intersection, I've brought this up several times, of Ashworth between Green Hill and Hudson Road has zero traffic control. I typically refer to it as the Green Hill Village drag strip because of the place to play park and the retirement community that's going in there, the gas station. My favorite, Icon Donuts, is coming in, so I'm excited about that. But along with that brings in a lot of excess traffic. So I would like to see, and then Algonquin from Green Hill, it loops all the way around to Eric Road, only has one control as the stop sign, and it's at that intersection of Ashworth and Algonquin, excuse me. So the only control on those two main roads throughout the entire neighborhood, growing neighborhood, is right at that intersection. So I'm hoping that a traffic study I know was done years ago, and it said there was not enough traffic for like a four-way stop or some way controlling that intersection. However, the neighborhood has drastically changed. If you've been through lately, been at the Place to Play Park, or stopped at Casey's gas station, or seen, like I said, the retirement community or nursing home that's going in right now, it's all just going to bring in a lot more congestion. So for the safety of everybody going to the park, I would just ask that intersection be revisited. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Frine. Does anyone else from the gallery wish to speak tonight? And on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Okay. So with that, I'll consider public forum closed here and take us over to the special order of business, which, as I said earlier, 5 and 6 have been removed from the agenda. And that brings us to item 7, which is a hearing on a complaint issued to Primart 1, 2323 Main Street for a first tobacco violation. And tonight we have a speaker from, your name, sir?
My name is Luke Jensen. I'm an attorney at Swisher and Court.
Yeah, so Mr. Jensen is going to provide oral comments for us tonight on this prior to council action. So the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Swisher and Court is the law firm that handles various zoning ordinance infractions for the city, including what's on the agenda tonight. These are various violations under 453A of the Iowa Code. And what started as 5 citations on our radar dwindled down to 3 and then down to just 1. So we have Primart 1 at 2323 Main Street. This was a first tobacco violation. We do know that January 27th of this year is when a minor was sold tobacco by a clerk. That sets in procedure 2 separate processes. One is the criminal citation to the clerk, and then the other is the civil penalty, which various state agencies can do, or the code allows the local authority, the council, to assess. The clerk paid the fine for his own issue on March 4th, and then now we're at the procedure where the city council can assess that civil penalty. It's $300 set by code, and so we are asking for the city to authorize a resolution, or for a resolution authorizing an order assessing penalty, first violation, and that order would be drafted by the city attorney and distributed to you. So if you have any questions about this matter, I'm happy to answer those.
Certainly. Any questions from council? It's one of the first times we've dealt with this that I can remember.
Same, yeah.
So, Is anyone from Primart here tonight that would like to speak on this item?
It's a good point. Yeah, they are entitled to a hearing on this matter and can speak to that.
I'm not seeing that in the gallery. Are there any written communications on file from Primart, Madam Clerk?
No, I have received no written communication from them.
All right, so that would be oral comments then, and I would move us over into Part B, which is approving and authorizing execution of an order assessing a penalty relative to a first tobacco violation regarding Primart 1, 2323 Main Street. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and seconded. Any council discussion? Seeing none, then it's been motioned and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
Aye.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, sir, for your time tonight. That brings us over to new business, and we have a consent calendar where the following items will be acted on by a voice vote in a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Does anyone from council wish to pull an item 8 through 13? Seeing none, does anyone from the gallery wish to pull an item 8 through 13? Seeing none, and on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Seeing none. Okay, so I will read these items. Item 8 is receiving and filing the resignation of Lindsay Peters as a member of the Housing Commission, and we certainly thank you for your service, Lindsay. Item 9 is approving the recommendations of the mayor relative to appointment of members to boards and commissions. Item 10 is receiving and filing the Committee of the Whole minutes of August 2nd, 2021. 11 is approving the order accepting acknowledgement and settlement agreements for 2 businesses. Item 12 is approving a request for a temporary sign at 7213 Nordic Drive. And then item 13 is approving applications for beer permits and liquor licenses. Is there a motion to approve these items?
Second.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes then and takes us over to the resolution calendar. These items will be acted on by a roll call vote in a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Does any council member wish to pull an item 14 through 30?
Number 14, please.
14 will be pulled. Okay.
29 and 30.
And then 29 and 30. Okay. And then does anyone from the gallery wish to have an item pulled? Seeing none, how about on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, so I will read those items minus 14 through 14, 29, and 30. And those are 15 being a resolution approving and accepting a local fire protection and emergency services grant for the purchasing of firefighting turnout gear. 16 is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a custodial agreement. 17 is a resolution approving and authorizing a joint funding agreement with the U.S. Geological Survey for our Cedar River Stream Gauge Station. 18 is a resolution receiving and filing and approving the bid of OEL Construction Services for the 2021 CDBG sidewalk infill project. 19 is a resolution receiving and filing and approving and accepting the bid of Blacktop Service Company, the only bid for the 2021 Seal Coat project. 20 is a resolution approving and accepting the contract and bond of OEL Construction Services for the sidewalk infill project. 21 is a resolution approving and accepting the contract and bond of Benton Sand and Gravel for the 2021 Permeable Alley project. 22 is a resolution approving and accepting the contract and bond of Cobalt Contracting for the 2021 sidewalk repair and infill project. 23 is a resolution approving and accepting the contract and bond of Cobalt Contracting for the sidewalk assessment project Zone 4 for 2021. 24 is a resolution approving and accepting the contract and bond of Owen Contracting for the Cyber Lane Extension project. 25 is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a service product agreement with Amperage Marketing for 2022 digital advertising. 26 is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a service project agreement with Intercog for the Community Development Block Grant funding delivery for FY22. 27 is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a service product agreement with the Iowa Northland Regional Council of Governments for the home funding delivery or project delivery for FY22. And then 28 is a resolution approving a College Hill Neighborhood Overlay Zoning District site plan for parking improvements at 2415 Franklin Street. Is there a motion to approve these items minus 14, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
14, 29, and 30?
Second.
Moved and seconded. This requires a roll call, or excuse me, a roll call vote.
Aye.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That brings us back to item 14, which is a resolution approving and adopting amendments to Administrative Policy Number 7. So, Councilmember Harding, the floor is yours.
We have to motion it, right?
Oh, that's right, we have to have a motion. So is there a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Motion and seconded. Now the floor is yours, Councilmember Harding.
Yeah. Well, I like Zoom. I think it's great. I do get a little worried with allowing council members to come in via Zoom. So that's just my thoughts versus, possibly not allowing the public. I know in the past we've had the phone thing, and I was not on council when that was utilized. I was at a few council meetings where people were on the phone. And we say we didn't let the public phone in either. I guess I think you're here or you're not here. And if it's extended to the public, then I would be more willing to be okay with it. But I don't think we should make special exceptions for ourselves personally. So that's it.
And I'll note too, the reason for this, that I wanted to have this added into just the council rules, is that currently there's no direction or no guidance on when and how members can participate virtually or remotely. One of the things I'd want to clarify is how many members can not be present in the chambers. Typically, it's only been 1 or 2 at the most, but if it got to 5 members, technically that's allowed under Robert's Rules of Order, because it only says that you need to have synchronous audible hearing of each other. Like it's not you can't do a meeting via email, you can't have it asynchronous. It has to be that we can hear each other. But my sense from council and from seeing the last few months, there's really a lot of value in having the visual side as well. And I've just personally found it disruptive to have phone calls, because you can't tell if that member is really present or if they've dropped off accidentally, and then trying to get them back on has been difficult too. So I wanted to clarify in the ordinance and for discussion that video conference would be allowed, and that you have to have at least 4 members in the council chambers as a quorum. In case the technology drops off, we could still conduct business as needed. So,
Real quick, and I do see the value in that, making sure that we have a quorum here. And I do see the value in Zoom. I really do. I mean, right now I'm staring at Councilmember Miller, and I like that I can see him. I just get concerned with the fact that it creates a lot of work for staff. We have had Zoom issues in the past. And then we're not extending that to the public as well. So it's a tough call, because I do love the technology. I'm not quite there yet personally.
okay. Other thoughts? Councilmember DeBoer?
But as long as we're opening up Administration Policy Number 7 for changes, I'd like to make an amendment to also correct Rule Number 33. It's kind of redundant, and I think that's what we're trying to do, is clean it up. Rule 33 says that the presiding officer has the right to close debate and speak last on any issue. And we really don't need that line in there, and speak last on any issue, because that's covered under Rule 31 and under Rule 28 for gaining the floor. And Rule 31 talks that the mayor may speak. So we really don't, it's redundant. We don't need that extra line in there.
Okay, so looking at, you said the original was 61, is that correct?
Rule
33.
33,
Okay, 33, okay.
it's on page 64,
31.
page 5, either way.
So you're striking 33?
Well, you just need to, the last part of it, and speak last on any item. You don't need that sentence in there, because it's covered under both Rule 28 and Rule 31. You can't speak without the mayor's permission, and number 28 gives, or number 31 gives him the ability to speak. So it's
Make a
redundant.
motion.
So did I understand that you wanted to amend to also strike Rule 31 and Rule 33 entirely?
No, I was just trying to correct Rule 33
Okay.
for the last 5 words on it. They're not needed.
So the presiding officer has the right to close debate and
And-
leave it at that?
Yeah, I'm trying to strike the words "and
Okay.
speak last on any item,"
Okay,
because they're not needed.
all right. So there's a motion to strike or strike from Rule 33, speak last on any item. Is there a second?
Second that.
For that amendment? Okay. Council discussion for that, just that amendment request? So to remove from Rule 33, the presiding official has the right to close debate. We'll would strike out and speak last on any item.
Do you need a second?
It's been motion and second, we're
Okay.
just in debate. So if no other questions, then all in favor of striking and speak last on any item from 33, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so that amendment does pass and brings us back to the original motion as amended. Any further discussion from council on it? Okay, so that's been motioned and seconded. I also open it for public as well. Anyone from the public wish to speak on the item? Okay, seeing none. And from Zoom?
Nothing in Zoom?
Okay, so it's been motioned and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
Aye.
Six voting aye, one voting nay, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So that does pass and brings us over to, get my sheets here. Brings us over to item 29, which is a resolution setting September 7th, 2021 as the date of a public hearing on proposed amendments to Chapter 26 zoning for the Code of Ordinance relative to establishing the CD/DT Downtown Character District. Is there a motion to approve?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I would move that we consider these items together if possible, because they're both pertaining to the same thing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, any objection to considering these items together? Okay, so we will consider 29 and 30 together. I'll read the second part also then. Resolution setting September 7th, 2021 as the date of public hearing on the proposed rezoning of all property within the defined boundaries of the Downtown Character District from current zoning classifications and placing the same in the CD/DT Downtown Character District. So is there a motion to approve both of those items together?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Open for council discussion. Councilor DeBeer?
I had pulled these because I was hoping to delay the hearing on these, because we've been discussing these, and it seems that there's been a lot of discussion, but we still have additional items that have been brought up that haven't been discussed. So I was hoping we could continue with the work sessions on it prior to the public hearing. I know Daryl had brought up several questions regarding, we've been discussing parking, but there's been issues between siding, size of buildings, several different things. And it just seems like we're moving into this public hearing before we're really ready.
Okay, so other discussion on that?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Cruz?
I would agree with Councilman DeBeer in that thought. We're presuming that we're going to go ahead with implementing the different components of the form-based zoning, and many components have yet to be discussed. So I think we're putting the cart in front of the horse here and starting to change zoning in that area.
Okay. And as I understand it, since this is a resolution setting the date, if council were to vote against this, it wouldn't kill the item entirely. It would just mean that we don't set the date for this time. We'd have to pick a later time for that. Mr. Rogers, would you agree with that?
Agree.
Okay. So we wouldn't need to amend or change the motion. It would just be an up or down vote on setting the hearing date. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, so if there's any other discussion on the hearing date,
Well, wouldn't that September 7th be the time to discuss it and then turn it down if you don't like it?
well, from what
opposed to
Councilman
delaying.
DeBeer is saying is she wants to see more work sessions on it first.
Okay.
Other discussion?
What,
So we're done?
are there is there going to be anything screwed up by doing that? Or, I feel like we've talked about this a lot. I'm ready to move forward. That's just my opinion.
Okay. From staff, is there any technical problems or issues with moving the hearing date back we need to be aware of?
No, there would not be anything technically. I guess we would need specific direction about what are the remaining items that council wants to discuss. We had a specific motion about the downtown parking part of it, the private, so we had prepared for that, but did not hear motions on anything else at that time.
Okay, thank you. So any other discussion on the hearing date? Seeing none. Anything from the gallery or from Zoom? Okay, so it's been motioned and seconded for setting the hearing date for September 7th, 2021 for the public hearing on proposed amendments to Chapter 26 zoning to establish the CD Downtown Character District, CDDT Character District, and then also setting September 7th as the date of public hearing for proposed rezoning of property in the defined boundaries of the Downtown Character District to the current classifications and placing the same in the CDDT Downtown Character District. It's a motion and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
Aye.
4 voting aye, 3 voting nay, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. So that does pass, and we will have that hearing on September 7th. Next, we have bills and claims. Is there a motion to approve the bills and claims for August 16th?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any council discussion on it? Any from the gallery or from Zoom? Okay, seeing none. Then it's been motion and second, and it requires a roll call vote.
Aye.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any council referrals tonight?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Cruz?
I think it's probably a housekeeping item, but each council agenda, we move the special presentations and proclamations before the public forum. Do we need to make a motion to permanently put them in front?
Point of order. Wasn't that already voted on tonight in number 14?
Yeah, so that was part of.
That was part of 14.
Okay.
So we did.
Add 7.
So we're good.
And then, so any other council or any council referrals? Seeing none, then any council updates?
Update.
Yes, Councilmember Harding.
There was a couple, multiple people have reached out. There was a question of maybe 2-3 meetings ago about the appeal with PERB and the cost to the citizens. And I know Mr. Frine, I believe, asked the question and was answered, but some people had wanted to know what that answer was. So is there a way we could update the public on what that answer was?
Sure.
So the cost of the appeal and the cost to the citizens of the case?
Yeah, Mr. Rogers, do you recall your email on that?
Sorry, I don't remember the specific number.
Okay.
I was on vacation last week and it all kind of washed away.
All right, well,
I could get that for you and if, to Council Member Harding, and then he would have it in front of him for next meeting. Would that be all right?
That's fine, I can send it out.
Okay, so any other council update?
I had an update.
Yes, go ahead.
Recently, there was a couple accidents on Hudson Road near my house, and it required personnel from public safety on both the police and fire side. And I was amazed at how quickly they responded and the wonderful job they did. And I wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you to all the officers that were there. And it led to several questions in my neighborhood where people who asked about how we were staffing on the departments. Some people had a misconception that the fire department was unoccupied. And I wondered if I could have Director Olson just explain how staffing is done.
Okay, so Director Olson.
Sir, certainly. So staffing really, the public safety model is made to the training levels of people on the police and fire, but the staffing levels on the fire and the police have not changed much at all. So we still have a fully staffed police department and a fully staffed fire department or division, which operates out of 18th and Main and 4600 South Main, and at times we staff the North Cedar Station as well. So you'll get responses from fire crews and the police crews 24/7.
Thank you.
Follow up on that, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Cruz.
And Director Olson, the personnel that are assigned to fire, they are for all practical purposes, full-time firemen. They're not,
That is correct. They're
Part-time,
full-time
but-
firemen. They're assigned to the fire shifts. They work 24 hours at a time, and we have 3 different shifts that have a rotating schedule. So they're full-time firefighters that work the 24-hour shifts, just like majority of the full-time fire departments in the U.S.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
as long as we're on that subject, if one wants to come out to the public safety building, how do they just walk in, or, because I think there's some misinformation out there that somehow the public safety building is closed to the public, which I don't know why anybody would or think that, but everyone's welcome, right?
Everybody's welcome. They can just stop in if they want, but ideally it'd be best to call just to make sure we have people available to give them a tour. And it's a fantastic facility with some, I think they'd be impressed when they see some of the capabilities that we have.
Okay. Going back to Mr. Rogers to help you out a bit, I found the email that you had sent me, so I'll just read that here and save you some work. So it's in legalese, as usual. Try to translate. It says, there are actually 3 separate PERB matters recently. The first one, the PERB declined to rule, and the second one, the PERB ALJ ruled on the merits, but no remedy was ordered. That case was appealed. And the third one, the PERB ALJ ruled on the merits and ordered a posting as the remedy. That third case was not appealed. To date, attorney fees incurred in all 3 cases is $17,499.50. Expenses add an additional $347.73. The fees were not broken down by case. And then also you had said, keep in mind that the Ehlers and Cooney Law Firm is on retainer for the city, meaning the firm receives a flat fee for services rendered on labor matters regardless of the amount of time spent unless the matter is litigated, it goes to trial. So there might have been time devoted to the PERB matters that were covered by the retainer and not separately charged. The city would have incurred the flat fee regardless of the PERB cases. It says for the cases that were appealed, I have been told that the monthly retainer will cover those fees associated with the appeal unless the case ends up eventually in district court. At that point, it would be considered litigated and the fees would be charged separately again. I'd be happy to provide an estimate of fees if that case ends up in district court. In summary, the attorney fees and expenses incurred in PERB matters is $17,847.23. So did I catch you correctly?
Sounds right, Mayor.
Excellent. All right. So that's that answer for Mr. Frying. And any other updates before we move over to staff? Okay, so do I have staff updates tonight, Mr. Gaines?
No staff updates, Mayor. I was going to give an update on some parking, but I don't have my notes with me, so I apologize for that.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, that concludes our agenda tonight, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.